Hey guys, it's Mac and Jack. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, we upload DIY and sewing tutorials every single week. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Today, we're going to be showing you guys how to make this awesome Cindy Lou Who costume, dress, gown, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely love The Grinch. It is one of my favorite Christmas movies. I love the old cartoon version and I love the one with Jim Carrey. So I wanted to try to make it as close to the real one as I could. So if you look here on the screen, and I tried to make it like that as much as I could because I did want to do one that was very similar. So the pink that I chose, I think it was pretty close. I just want to be completely honest with you guys. To me, this was not an easy thing for me to make. It did take a really long time to do, and it's not really a super simple process because I did not have a pattern, and I don't use patterns. I don't really like to use them, and I do have some I've used before, but I just didn't have any for this particular project. It was kind of hard to find one for something like this. But I will show you guys how to do it step by step on how I did it. This is just personally what I would do. This dress is really heavy actually. It feels like a giant sleeping bag. It's not so bad wearing it, it's just when I was making it, it was a lot to maneuver around and it was very heavy. But I will take you guys through and show you everything that I did. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. For this dress, I got 2 yards of fabric from Joann, and it's fleece material, so it's really soft, and it was plenty. I got elastic from Joann as well. And then I'm going to be using a tape measure, sewing scissors, pins, and of course a sewing machine. For this next step, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it to the length that I want it to be so I don't have this extra material. And you can cut it as long as you want, and mine looks a little short because I'm going to be adding extra fabric at the bottom. Now what I'm doing is I am cutting the shape of the dress, and I'm just taking a t-shirt that I have and I'm going to make it as wide as I can because it is a gown and I do want it to be really wide and roomy. So I'm making it super wide, and I'm just going to cut the shape of the shirt. And I will just cut out the armholes and then move on to the neck hole in a moment. Okay, so not to get sidetracked or anything, but I am going to go ahead and cut out my sleeves because I like to cut out all my pieces first. Just make sure that your sleeves match up with the armholes in your garment. Okay, now back to the gown. I am just going to go ahead and pin the bottom half of this so that way it will stay together and I can work on the rest of it. Now I'm just cutting out my neck hole, and I'm going to cut it out the exact same way as the shirt that I'm using. Now I'm taking the neckline and I'm just going to pin it in place. And I am not going to fold it over twice since the fabric does not fray, so I'll just fold it over once and then pin it and sew over it. After I just hem the neckline, I'm going to go ahead and start pinning everything together. So right now I'm just working on the sleeves and I'm pinning it to the sleeve holes. So I'm just going to do all 4 of those individually, and then I'll sew it when I'm done. So now what I'm doing is I'm adding the elastic on the bottom of the sleeve to give it that flare that Cindy Lou Who has on her gown. So I am measuring the elastic that I need, and then I'm going to put the elastic in between so that way I'll have space at the bottom, so it'll have that flare at the bottom of it, so it'll be nice and frilly. So I am just going to sew 2 lines and then put the elastic in between it. Now I'm going to sew the sleeves on, and then I'm going to sew the bottom of the sleeves where the elastic will be. Now that I've got the elastic the size that I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and put a safety pin on the end of the elastic and run it through. Then I'll pin it down so that way I can keep the elastic in place. So now it is time to sew everything together. So I am pinning everything together except for the neck hole, and I've already got my sleeves at the bottom done. So I am just pinning all of it together, and then I will sew it all up. When you're done sewing your gown, make sure you cut off any excess fabric in the inside that you don't need. We are so close to being done. The last thing I'm going to do is take this piece of fabric that I have left over, and I am going to sew it on the bottom of the gown so that way it will make it longer. And I am just going to cut it in the shape of the bottom of her gown, and it's like a scallop shape. So I will just sew that on first. I'm going to go ahead and pin it, then sew it, and then I will cut it when I'm done. Now that I've got the bottom sewn on, I'm going to go ahead and just trace on the bottom the scallop shape that I want it to be, and I'm just going to do that all around and then cut it. So we are finally done with the gown, and I am so excited with how it turned out. I absolutely love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it was easy to understand. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you so much for watching.